Hello, everyone, and welcome to another day in AI in real estate. I know we had a long weekend, so hope everybody was able to take some rest, take some vacation, and now back to what matters. And in today's workflow, today's example actually is a really interesting workflow. Every pitch, every client I talk to, it comes back to asking about this kind of report. And not only on the operational side, but also on the finance side. So the way I see this, it starts with operations, but eventually it flows into finance and they have to do the executive level reporting and all of that. So I think these are really, really interesting reporting and an example on how to use AI on your workflows. And as usual, like she's a house guest already, I have Elaine Williams with us. For those who haven't seen some of the previous episodes, I'll let her introduce herself. But she's already a friend of the house and like doing like amazing work with Leni and with her clients. So, Elaine, welcome to AI in real estate again.
Thanks, Marcio. So glad to be back and talking about something that is a challenge for most third-party property management companies and asset managers, right? Budget
Yeah.
variance reports.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Yeah, it doesn't sound fun, but I know
No.
it's crucial to every workflow, every real estate owner, operator, and financial manager. So, yeah. So let's dive into it. Elaine, why does it take like too long and does it take a lot of work, a lot of people to get to this kind of report?
It is so much information. You're an owner, you're an asset manager, you need to understand what is happening on your property. You give your third party property managers a budget, a goal, and you know what? In real estate, it doesn't always meet the mark, right? And
Almost
so
never.
everybody wants to understand
Yeah.
what is going on. So,
Mm.
so the purpose of a budget variance report is crucial communication between the third party manager and the property manager and what they're doing to the asset and the owner and the asset manager really needs to understand what is happening in the market, what's happening in expenses. You may have staff turnover, which affects performance. So it's really the one of the bigger communication tools that you have, with your owner, so to speak.
Yeah, and again, as I said, it usually involves the whole company because it starts on, on the, on the factory floor where you understand what's going on there, but it flows to all the finance teams. Why is this happening? And across every GL, every line of your cash flow. It can be on your expense, it can be on your revenue side, and given how crazy, let's say, the market has been over the last 5, 6 years at least,
Hmm.
I think it's getting increasingly important to understand where are those variances, where's it coming from. Even
Yep,
for capital calls and all of that is super important for that.
yep, absolutely.
So based on all of that, let us know what you built there to help streamline this major workflow.
So there's a couple of things. So, asset managers want to understand the actual P&L statement and, basically what's happening in income versus expenses and also capital. What is happening in your capital projects. Again, those are some big cash items that if you're not spending at the right time can really sink the cash flow. And so it's super important to kind of understand the propensity of such. There's also other factors that are part of the reason why the income or even expenses are challenged or over budget, which would be your leasing activity,
Mhm.
your renewals, your market rent. Did you meet that, increase that you were supposed to? Are you behind the market? So there's a lot of information that goes into this particular report that you're sending back, and it could be as many as 10 different types of data spreadsheets and data points that you're trying to get across to the performance of the property and how it was affected. So all those data points, putting it in one summation that maybe you have, if you're a regional property manager, you could have 8 assets that you report to one asset manager, right? And so whether you're doing those on a monthly or a quarterly basis times 8, that's a lot of data points in
Exactly.
order to communicate.
Yep.
And this has been a pain point for many property managers trying to report, the goings on of the property and what has happened. So it's a big lift.
Yeah, yeah, and I heard stories, and I've been there before as well, where you get some reports where something increased, some expense increase, and the reason behind it comes with a comment like it increased because it increased. Doesn't
Mhm.
have a technical comment, oh, because of the market. Like it doesn't explain exactly what it is. So that's why I think, and I totally agree with you, like this is getting more and more important, and combining with the market cycle like we are today, how soft the market has become for on some sides, how expensive, how OPEX is actually increasing from insurance to materials to CapEx, you name it. There are multiple variants across every single GL today.
One of the reasons why I also, felt like this agent that has all this information would really help because there's consistency in delivery of the data. So many times, okay, let's say you're a huge organization and you've got 20 regional property managers reporting on your assets, and you hope that they use obviously some type of template that you're getting the same data from each and every
Yeah.
one, because then you have to turn around and report it to whom you report to. But let's face it, that doesn't always happen. And so to apply consistency, just think if I'm an asset manager, I could build myself an agent and have the data come exactly as I want it and as I want to interpret it. And I mean, for a third party manager, same thing. I don't need to have all these templates and make sure my new regional property manager has it. I have the AI agent that is, doing that for me. And the asset manager is going to get 9 pages. It's going to have, the 9 topics, and that's what's going to occur, right?
Yep. Yep.
So, the consistency part, I think, of really reporting that data and going after the same data each and every time is a very important and time saving opportunity.
Yeah. No, no, no. That's really important. I totally agree with you. And okay, we get all the report with AI now, and all the a huge amount of data that we have, and deployed accordingly with like the right way to deploy and get AI on top of that. So getting the report and moving to the action plan. How does that work for you? Like how do you see companies doing that?
So, one of the things, AI is a blessing and a curse at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So, I worry as an executive leader that, my regional property managers, VPs, whatever, are now going to be so slick that they're using the AI agent to generate this wonderful budget variance report for them. Are they really going to interpret the data that needs to be interpreted correctly? And let's face it, the whole point of a budget variance report is to communicate what you've missed, what you've excelled at, and what you're going to do better the next time,
Yeah.
and how you're going to improve that performance. So, part of putting together the budget variance report is learning what needs to happen. What are the areas that you're missing, the KPIs that you're missing? What are the actionable items that you need to be able to implement in order to not report on the same variance the next time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I worried a little bit about that because, if AI agent makes it easy, to extract this information and provide it, but are you
Mm-hmm.
really going to learn something from it? So this is why in this particular agent, it delivers an executive report, which is easy breezy for,
Mm-hmm.
the asset manager, giving them totally what they need at a glance. And then it also produced a companion report. So a companion report would be your leasing statistics, your renewal statistics. It's going to be about the market, where you place in the market. Are you ahead of the market? Are you behind the market? It's going to also outline your delinquency performance to make sure that you're communicating whatever kind of issues, write-offs, whatever you might have.
Mm-hmm.
And so it also gives renewal statistics. What's the trade-off? The trade-out pricing for that. Are you meeting the market? Are you behind the market? So
Mm-hmm.
by training the AI agent to extract that data and then report on that, that goes into the companion report. And I did it separately because some asset managers just want the down and dirty, and then some want the details, right? So. And then lastly, there's an action report that goes with it. And the action report basically is for that regional property manager and team to really understand all the variance components and what they need to do in order to modify those, modify their performance. And
Mm-hmm.
that comes in a nice Excel spreadsheet, so you can, it has an owner attached to it, so you can delegate it to your property manager, your pricing manager, your marketing manager, and work together as a team in order to improve that performance. So again, it's helping you really understand why you've missed or why you've excelled and what to continue to do or don't do.
Yeah. And Elaine, like, of course, there's a huge amount of data that goes into this kind of analysis and reports.
Yep.
And we understand that if you need to upload files, it helps a lot. The more data you have there or historical data actually help you to get a better report. So one thing that I usually see with our clients and in the market that the more connected the data, the systems are with your AI, the better the output, the better the action plan and the reports. Can you talk a little bit about that? How you see your clients and the market working with data and integrations to get the final output?
Yeah, it's really a time saver having that ecosystem work together with your AI system and being able to internally extract data. It just saves so much time because if you're having to load into an external AI, you're literally probably loading 12 reports with what I just communicated. I mean, trade out reports, and, delinquencies and renewals and, all that data. But if you're connected, in that ecosystem, it's literally pulling it so much faster. And, you can teach the agent. I worked on another agent for pricing for inventory.
Yep.
Well, all I had to do is tell the agent to go research the historical pricing of my invoices and my POs. Those are internal, so it's extracting my own costs directly and then creating a budget for me from my own data. Now,
Mhm.
you'd have to do a whole GL report, a
Yep.
invoice listing for the year, maybe two. I mean, that's just a lot of data that you have to pull and then and upload it into the system. So it doesn't really save you time.
I know. I know.
Right? So, I mean, it
Exactly.
does, but it doesn't, so
Yeah.
having that ecosystem really is super effective because you can really just dig into your own stuff.
Got it. Got it. No, that's I really agree, like 100% with you. And with no further ado, can you show us what you built there? Because like I had a sneak peek, I loved it, but you were again the one that actually knows this and built it. So who's the best person to actually talk about this?
Well, let's show a little bit first about
Okay.
what it initially gives you back. And again, this is a really important part because it's giving you a quick at a glance to kind of get you up to speed on exactly what the interpretation is. Oops, there we go. There we go. All right. So easy. Again, you have to know that this particular um, prompt is developed for this agent, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this agent has all this information inside of it to tell, to tell it where I want to get this information and exactly what I want to do. So this particular budget variance is for 5%. Anything that is above 5% variance is what it addresses, right?
Okay.
Um,
And you
but
create
it
an agent for this, right?
Yes, I
Yeah.
created an agent because otherwise, if you don't have more specificity about it, it's going to give you every single line item,
Yeah.
every single GL, and that's just too much information. Again, an asset manager wants what is the most important things that I need to understand about what's happening with the performance of this asset, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the other thing too is, you know, typically the property management team is focusing on the operating expenses. So I built this particular one to appeal to the asset manager who really wants to just understand at this moment at the high level operating problems or wins. And so to go that way, as well as to address capital programs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this gives you a quick at a glance of what's in the deliverable and how it arrived at the answer. So there's also a GL detail that will give you every line item again, so that you understand what's going on one by one. But we didn't want to do that at a level here. And then after I produced the deliverable of the executive summary and the action item for the financial components, then I asked the agent to go in and give me a companion report. And so that's where the companion report is where I have all the leasing information.
Mm-hmm.
So, KPIs, renewal performance, delinquency, market positioning, and key takeaways. So I also, loaded into my KPIs, my company KPIs of, where I was supposed to be. And so
Mm-hmm.
it can measure against that as well.
And can you show us the analysts as well before showing the
Yeah,
outputs?
sure
Because I know
can.
like the analysts, like the way you create analysts is super interesting because it's super well structured, and I think people would love to see that.
Yeah. So, I started out teaching the analyst kind of what I wanted from an executive summary, how many pages I wanted, what specifically I wanted. I wanted a financial snapshot. I wanted an income performance with variances, um, key things to watch, again, to pull that out so that it's not giving me every single bit of detail. It's giving me
Mm-hmm.
just the key components, operating expenses with also key insights to that, a deep dive because you kind of do want to understand what's the specifics on your controllable expenses, a capital expenditure page so that I can understand my budget and if they've deployed the project or if they're behind in the project and where we stand with the year to date total. I wanted a root cause and financial page, a financial pattern page, so that we could understand, is this going to continue? Is it going
Mm-hmm.
to be a trend? And then recommendations and next steps.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically 8 pages. And so what I like about it as well is it comes in a PowerPoint presentation. And so you're able to still be the author of this report. It's not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily that the agent is going to take over, all the communication and
Mm-hmm.
the narration of it. I will tell you, I programmed it to be in a friendly tone
Uh-huh.
because bottom line is that we're trying to cooperatively communicate what is happening in the property performance. We don't want somebody to think that it's a very hard line. So you can
Yep.
change it. You can change the tone, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
you can see right here, I have friendly.
Mhm. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
No, and to your point, I think it's really interesting because you can change. And for me, the way I see this, there is still some knowledge that will sit in the brains of the people doing the work inside the buildings.
Yes.
And it's important if those files can be edited, like whether a PowerPoint or a Word file, because there might be some different ways to communicate a couple things that happen in an extraordinary way in a particular moment. And I think editing that, being able to edit those is extremely important. So I like that. And then, of course, I still think from everything you're saying, there's still like the human judgment. It's undeniably important.
Yeah.
How you communicate, like how things are going to progress moving forward, what happened with a few more details. So I do agree with all like the way you built this, which is like super well structured.
Well, and it's very detailed. It's based on my experience of, being a third party provider and communicating, to asset managers, what has happened with the performance of the property. And, you can just see right here in some of the details that I built into it, occupancy, lease rate, lease trending percent, delinquency, number of move-outs,
Hmm.
number of month-to-month leases, renewal percentage, number of leases, economic occupancy. Those are things that as an operator you know, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so that's one important thing that is great about using an analyst, so to speak. Anybody can build one, and you can build one
Yeah.
because
Hmm.
you're the knowledge piece of exactly where the AI should be looking, the trends that they should be looking at. And so when you teach it all that information, and again, out 90 days, so that
Hmm.
it's a forward looking strategy. It's really, I think, more powerful than just loading all these reports into the AI system, so to speak, because you really don't have all that knowledge that's behind it, because it may give you arbitrary answers that aren't as
Hmm.
specific to your particular property performance. And that's why
Hmm.
you can see it's got a lot of
Yep.
detail in there in order to create the right data that you're pulling for
Hmm.
this
Yep.
particular
Yep.
information.
And provide an action plan. Yeah.
Yeah.
So with all of that, I'm extremely curious to see what are the outputs.
Yes,
What did
definitely.
Leni create for you, and like the action planning, companion reports, and all of that. So,
I specifically designed it in PowerPoint because I really wanted to be able to change any of the narrative that I chose to be able to, change the sentiment, so that, or if I didn't like a graph, I could take the graph out. So
hmm.
I am really still the author of this report, which
Hmm.
I feel is very important for everybody to feel comfortable that,
Yep.
you know, they're able to edit the information, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And so this particular one, we always start out with a financial snapshot so that quick at a glance you can see, what's happening with this particular asset. Income performance comes first, talking about, favorable variances. As we know, they sometimes can or cannot be your friend. And then also items to watch. Again, pulling
Hmm.
out the most important call outs, right?
Yep.
Operating expenses. Now, I taught the model to specifically go in that particular order. Of course, every single company may have different types of orders that they choose. This is a very general one, I believe, that most companies would use. But my point is that you can teach your analyst to exactly produce, the expense category in your language, in your model, et
Yep.
cetera, et cetera. the deep dive, again, controllable categories is what I focused on because typically most property management organizations are reporting what is controllable. Debt
Mm-hmm.
service is not controllable, taxes is not controllable. It needs to be known, but it's not what I'm able to control
Yep.
necessarily, right?
Mm-hmm.
Capital replacements, I felt like this was one page that needed to be represented. I felt like, this is something asset managers truly, really want to understand that the property
Mm-hmm.
management companies are taking their cash that they've given and applying it. So you can see this great chart and talking about, all the major capital projects and relative to budget. So easy to see.
Mm-hmm.
Root causes and financial patterns. So in each part of my report, I've taught the analysts to have exactly these main categories, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that so it produces a similar template every single time.
It's really good. I really love this one.
And then recommendations and next steps. Now, some property managers may want to eliminate this page or may want to expand on this page. It may be a staffing challenge that they
Yep.
have. And so they can just change one of these recommendations or next steps and be able to modify the report to be exactly their tone and their specifics. But what's most important, I think, you know, in understanding why this is such a time saver is because the AI agent has just gone in there and extracted all the data, has highlighted all the high points, and
Mm-hmm.
it's allowed now the person who the author of this report to now focus on very specific things that they want to be able to call out, highlight, and create their own tone, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's just super important for everybody to feel that they are still the author, but they're not spending so much time putting a chart together that shows capital replacements. Those kind of things that asset managers really appreciate a quick at a glance because they're reviewing so many different properties. I just need to know the bottom line basics, right?
Yep. Yep.
And this allows the author to extract that and be able to focus now on the messaging, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and to be able to add their context to it. So this is the companion report. Again, this was optional because some, asset managers want to just know the financial, and then some want to know the operational companion components, renewals, leasing.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be able to have like a quick executive overview so that quick at a glance, all this
Mm-hmm.
information is programmed into the analyst to produce this exact report.
Mm-hmm.
Charts with leasing summary for the month, as well as your lead source funnel, because again, that's
Yep.
an important piece.
Yep.
Your conversion ratios and marketing budget, who's where you're getting the most leads from. Typically, I
Mm-hmm.
find asset managers really want to understand where their marketing budget and how it's being
Yeah.
affected.
Absolutely.
A page completely for renewal performance for renewal trade out versus new lease trade out so that you can have a comparative on your pricing and a chart to show you the differentials as well as the market.
Mm.
So, against the market so you can see where you're at.
Yep.
Um, 90-day lease expiration. For me, that's always an important piece because you want to know the train
Mm-hmm.
that's coming, right? So, as you can see, this asset's got 58 renewals, 58 expirations in July. So obviously strategy's got to change for that month, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I like the action item because it's telling you, hey, you got stuff going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Delinquency, to give a quick at a glance about, how your aged payables are doing, and what you're doing about them. Now, again, being a PowerPoint, you can easily put in an explanation, again, to create your own voice with it. And
Mm-hmm.
market positioning. So, want to understand where the asset is and considering the market. I actually asked this particular agent to look at the MSA, could be a city, could be just state, depending on what, again, you train the agent to look for.
Mm-hmm.
And the key takeaways of where the momentum is and where the focus needs to be. And some next steps, again, you can modify your voice how you want to modify it.
Mm-hmm.
But
But you see, it's detailed the next steps, not
yeah.
just a generic recommendation. That's what I like it.
Well,
Like,
and
grounded on data.
we were talking a little bit previous before we started recording on, I think a lot of times the authors of the variance reports say the same things over and over again, right? And it doesn't provide a lot of depth in order for the asset manager to understand what is the true problem.
Mm-hmm.
And and partly it's because, we haven't assembled all the data together. So you're making an assumption it's for this reason, or the variance is for this reason or for that reason. But with having this quick data coming to you, now you clearly understand what the problem is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, 41 outstanding expirations, okay, over the next 60 days.
Mm-hmm.
Now you clearly understand what your challenge is, and now you
Yep.
can articulate your solution. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to you're spending a lot of time really digging into the information and digging into the data in order to extract and provide this type of feedback. So
Mm-hmm.
this is
Yep.
how it saves you so much time, as well as it gives you a logical and non-bias piece of feedback in order to provide to the ownership.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, no, I totally agree. And you see, like, this covers the whole stack of GLs that components of the NOI, from the expense side, from the revenue side, very detailed. And I think that's where AI is getting better and better, especially here, as we spoke about it before, that it needs, like, when it's integrated, you already have a huge amount of data on your systems. If you integrate with them, AI can actually produce something really valuable. And to your point, as I said before as well, that how many times I've seen that report that comes with an explanation say it is higher because it went up.
Yes, yes,
That's not
exactly.
an explanation.
Well, and this truly gives you a place to start. And it doesn't necessarily, you don't have to live with this particular explanation, right?
Hmm.
But it's a place to start your explanation and your voice, right?
Yep.
By fact instead of, you know, assumptions a lot of
Yep.
times is what's occurring, right?
Yep. No, totally agree. Elena, this was great. I think one of the best, outputs I've seen, like, ever seen. Again, it covers everything that you need to know on your property. So really, really interesting, and interacts with several different teams within an organization, from the property managers on the ground, plus the asset managers, plus the finance team. So it's super, super interesting.
And
I
again,
really appreciate.
one of
Sorry.
the things to point out too is,
Mhm.
this is my model, but it could be your model,
Yep.
so you really have the opportunity of creating exactly what you're looking for. And that's where I feel like it saves so much time, not only on the third party manager, but also on the asset manager,
Mm-hmm.
because the asset manager can create a model that's specific for what they're looking for and extract that data
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. I agree. Totally agree with that. And we have some good news because next week, Elaine and I will be on a live webinar showing some of these amazing analysts that she has created to help asset managers and operators. And I'm really looking forward to it, Elaine.
Thank
It's
you.
going to
I'm
be really,
excited
really
too.
great.
I can't wait to show some of the interesting agents and, how to apply them and how they actually can modify your performance. That's the thing that AI offers is,
Yep.
it's not just a dashboard of facts. It's not just, reporting that you get out of your PMS. It's not
Yep.
that. AI should be used to improve your performance, understand trends, be able to dig into data that is not visible to the eye, so to speak,
Yep.
and pull out the most important things that you need to execute in order to fix your performance, improve your performance, correct it, as well as your business. I mean, there's so many things, AI is not just meant for budget variance reports, right?
Yeah. Yep.
It is going to be able to save time, and getting that information. It doesn't change the human behavior part of, you know, communicating what we
Yep.
want to communicate, right? But it just gets to the data faster and just highlights the areas that you need to focus on, I think
Yeah.
is super important.
No,
So,
absolutely. Instead of waiting till the solution gets even harder to implement, you can get that right away from the beginning and start operating on that. You don't need to wait for the disease to spread.
well, and I also think it's a great teaching tool. Just think of a young regional property manager that may not have a lot of experience in what those levers and triggers are in order to fix their performance. And
Yep.
so, this is an opportunity to be able to help guide them, and be able to give them something that they can actually go and execute. So,
Yep.
I think it's really important that we stop thinking about AI as just a reporting tool, something that, makes us sound great, when we're writing an email, or
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
our presentation is pretty,
Uh-huh. Yep.
but what it really should be used for is executing your performance and
Totally.
being able to correct the path that you may be currently on, and how do I correct it? What do I do? What's my lever? Where's my pivot? How long will it take me? What do I need to do? So those kinds of things that make a difference in your business performance.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
that's what I think AI is so super.
Oh, like looking at this, I get super excited. I know I'm biased because of what I did today,
Right,
but
right.
this is one of the best executions I've ever seen. Yeah, no, Elaine, thank you so much for joining us today again. Again, you're already part of the team. Looking forward to the next webinar with you. And we'll see you in the next episode of AI in Real Estate.
Sounds great.
Bye.
Thank you. Thanks again for having me.